So I just finished watching Blue Box, and honestly, geez, I only have one thing to say. Dang it, I'm so freaking mad I finished this, bro. Oh my god. Hey, so you know that thing people call wholesome romance in the realm of anime? Yeah, I hate that. Or at least I used to. See, like, I wasn't so far off the tracks that I was watching Domestic Girlfriend every Tuesday or anything, but you know, I actually enjoyed, for instance, Rent a Girlfriend more than most people. I even made a video on it. Did you hear me? I said I even made a video on it. It's not like there was ever anything that made me unconditionally dislike wholesome anime. Just the idea of there being an allocated word we use for a section of, well, I mean, non-morally questionable anime is kind of weird. And actually a little bit vague. Listen, when I hear someone say an anime is wholesome, I, without fail, either think about a girl spoiling a 26-year-old man for 12 episodes, or just a shoujo, which is a genre I usually don't like. I know these aren't the only two things considered wholesome, like I said, it's vague, but the fact that they're what I see most often kinda says something, I think. My point is, in general, anime whose main gimmick is being wholesome are boring to me. Or if they're not boring at first, they usually get boring because I feel they drag on for much longer than they should. But now, what does that have to do with this? Hey, wait a minute. Blue Box is an anime about a guy who likes this girl he meets at a sports gym every day. The guy was going to practice badminton while the girl practiced basketball. Over time, as the boy Taiki watched Chinatsu play and practice with every chance she got, he became inspired to work harder on his goals too. Then, after the first day he spoke to her, he found out her family was moving. But luckily for him, she stayed behind to play basketball for the rest of her final year. So through a small series of coincidences, the girl Chinatsu actually ends up living with the boy and— Hey, you better get your mouse off that freaking button. Yeah, so as I was saying, Chinatsu and the badminton player Taiki actually start living together. And this is actually majorly where that sugary sweet word comes into play. Despite the circumstances, this isn't a freak show. These two living together isn't any sort of catalyst for insane occasions to go down. They just push each other to achieve their current sports dreams before it's too late and Chinatsu hits the ripe old ancient age of 18. Whether it's through motivating one another on important days or just giving each other the occasional pep talk when they need it. See, but just describing Blue Box like this doesn't do it justice, and that's part of my problem with wholesome anime. It's kind of hard to recommend an anime to someone when your evidence is vibes and your sources, you know what? Trust me bro, I am putting you on. Like, I understand that genuinely, my description of this anime probably just sounded kind of boring, and that's the thing. You gotta watch it to understand. Wholesome isn't just something you hear from someone, it's something you gotta feel. So I hate to say this, but it's good. Just trust me, bro. With all that convincing out the way though, I can finally get into why this anime is— The quality of this anime is disgusting. Whether you actually decided to watch it or not, you could just look at this anime and tell it's serious about its story. Or at least that's the vibe I get from it because of that quality. I get that it's a shallow reason, animation quality and story are two different things. But at the end of the day, no one puts this much effort into nothing, and that's why I gave the anime a chance. The intro animation, the sound design and music, the polished characters being pushed to their fullest reasonable potential. And again, I know the external aspects of a story aren't everything, but they do a good job of showing how much people are willing to put in to tell it, not just faithfully, but well. You can tell Blue Box wanted to be something unique, and that on its own is enough for me to want to keep watching almost anything. It's like when you watch an isekai and it has a lot of generic tropes, but you can tell that it's not trying to be generic, so instead of dropping it, you just watch it all the way through. Yeah, that's what it was like watching Blue Box. Like, it had a lot of pretty cliche situations, but I'm not going to count that against the anime at all because, I mean, come on, it's freaking romance in 2025. The only way to not have some common aspects is to not have romance. This anime was so sweet and refreshing to watch. It's like drinking a cup of strawberry lemonade that you only paid $12.50 for with no refills at a little girl's lemonade stand. The anime was wholesome. So I know what I said earlier, right? I said the anime has a few cliches, but I don't count them against it because, hey, I mean, it's 2025. But there's actually more to it than that. Leaving that statement as is would make it sound like this anime needed the crutch of time to stand, which is not true. Blue Box is no slouch when it comes to, well, you know, actually being good. Every time I feel like things might start getting old, the anime reminds me this is no pushover. I'm watching freaking Blue Box. It turns tensions up just enough to be noticeable every time something happens. Like if we got a deep moment before, the next one is bound to be even deeper. And that kept a feeling of real and actually kind of quick progression in the story. Every new development is just a bit crazier than the last one, until eventually things go into overdrive. And what's even more surprising is there's actually a payoff in these events. When things get serious, the anime doesn't hold back. This thing has some of the craziest emotional combos just ever. Like me personally, I'm actually torn on how to feel about certain things when they happen. When Taiki makes romantic progress with one character, I don't know if I should feel sad for the other one or be mischievously laughing and kicking my feet in the corner of the room. I'm not even kidding when I say this, by the way. My favorite character changed by the day. And the reason why that was only hit me after the insane realization that, yo, these characters are like genuinely incredible. A question that I've had for a while now is how does a wholesome anime stay relevant for this many episodes? But what I've come to find out is that most don't. Well, not to me anyway. Things really do get predictable fast, which is why I watch these anime that are a bit off. Because there's a higher chance of something unexpected happening at any given time, no matter how outrageous it might be. I need something other than just two characters worrying about their feelings 24/7. I need some sort of split or divergence from that confused flirtation always going on. And Blue Box has actually found a way to give me that. But instead of morally questionable events, Blue Box uses sports. It's like switching out I don't know, cigarettes for celery sticks. Is that how they work? The sports these characters play aren't just there as a side plot like how school tends to be in like 90% of anime that have them. The sports actually serve a purpose. They're actually the reason this anime is able to take place because these guys are serious about them. The anime kind of fluctuates between what's more important at the moment, but sports never just goes away because that's the basis of the story. Taiki, Chinatsu, Hina, they wouldn't be here without the sports. And it's crazy to me that I enjoy this series because it's not a sports anime with a bit of romance or a romance with a bit of sports. It's a romance sports anime and I forget that. I have a certain respect for every character in Blue Box because they know when it's time to lock in and get something done. If it's time for a tournament, the romance doesn't play a part. It's straight training and execution. While if there's any romantic development, parts hit harder because that's all they're focused on. The characters who did the best training tend to do the best in games, no matter what emotions were running through their heads before. And how good someone is doing in terms of progress with another person doesn't correlate to how well they do in their sport. I actually mentioned something like this in my very first video on this channel. When it's time to get serious, the romance takes a back seat, and now it's time to show up and perform. Emotions are really nice to have, but just don't have a place to stand when you're under the pressure of a crowd there to see you not only play, but to see you win. And that's why I respect these characters. You see a whole different side to them when things get serious, both in the athletic and romantic fields. The people we're looking at have layers. Blue Box to me is wholesome because all of the main characters in it know what they're working towards, put in the effort no matter how sad or desperate they look, and still after seeing the uglier sides of each other decide, yeah, that's the one. I hate feeling this attached to an anime because I know that when it ends, by the time this video comes out, it'll probably already be over, I'll actually feel sad. Because for one, high school romance is definitely an overused trope now, but I still love it if it's done the right way. And by that, I mean it's handled in a way that's unique enough for it to have its own personality, but still leans into the parts that matter despite how often they've been done. But then two, because watching this has been like my only hit of dopamine for the past like 2 weeks, so I don't really know what I'm supposed to do after this. I love these characters. When I watch these anime, I'm no super critic or anything. There may be flaws in them, but I don't care. They go above just being one pre-made archetype. So looking at these characters on the surface isn't going to tell you much. If you want to pick up on anything worthwhile, it wouldn't be insane to maybe watch Blue Box, I think. Thanks for watching. I'm off.